Hello student, today we will discuss the complex number. So in this lecture, let's read about the complex number. The complex numbers are represent in the form of the a plus iota b. A and b both are the real number, part of the real number. Complex number are represented by z. Mathematician represent the complex number with the z. A is known as a real part of the z and b is known as the imaginary part of the z. B is not a imaginary, as b and a both are real number. When it will be attached to the iota, it will become imaginary. So please understand this thing. B itself is a real number, but when it will attach with the iota, it will become imaginary. So b is known as the imaginary part of a z. Set of complex number is represented by C. Here notation is C given for set of complex number, not a single complex number. If we will talk about the single complex number, then we will denote with the Z. But if I'm talking about the set of complex number, then I will use the C. So this is the difference between Z and C. C is the set of complex number, whereas Z is the single complex number. So that is C has a value equivalent to the Z. It is a set of the complex number, and complex number is denoted with the Z, a plus iota b. A and b both are the real number. Similarly, as we choose x to represent a real number, x with a real number, that is, then x must be belongs to a real family. Then x belongs to R, where R is the real family. Let Z be the complex number, and then Z must be belongs to C, right? So if Z is equals to a plus iota b, then a and b belongs to R, that is real family. If real part of the complex number becomes 0, that is a becomes 0, then Z is purely imaginary. If a becomes 0, it means that we have given only this part. This part is missing, right? If this part is missing, it means that iota b we have, and which is purely imaginary part. And if b becomes 0, that is b becomes 0, this whole term, that is the imaginary term, will become 0, and we will get only purely real number, as a is a real number. So understand this thing. Note, every real number is a complex number. We have observed from this thing. We have observed every real number is the complex number. As you can see, when b becomes 0, imaginary part will become 0. So this whole become real. But we are representing it as a complex number. It means that every real number can be represented as a complex number, but every complex number cannot be represented as a real number. Every real number is a complex number with the 0 imaginary part. I have taken the example here also. 3 plus iota 0, as 0 is the imaginary part which is not there. So this thing, it will become 0. I'm getting real part only, but I'm expressing it as a complex number. Next is z, as z is 0 is the only number which can be considered as purely as well as imaginary and real as well as imaginary. So consider 0 is equals to 0 plus iota 0. I can write a 0 as like this. So this is a complex number, right? If this is a complex number, it is a purely, I can consider it as a purely real. How? If I will write 0 only, then it is a purely real. But if I hide this, and I will get purely imaginary. So in this way, we are representing 0 in the complex number. So let's move to the next page. In the next page, I have represented the complex number how and what it containing. You can see this is a circle of the real number, and this is the irrational numbers, which are the root 3, root 2, and minus root 5 pi. And in the irrational numbers, it is containing natural number 1, 2, 3. If it contains 0, it will become whole number. And if it contain negative natural number, it will become integer. It will become integer. And this is the form of the rational number. So all these we contained in real number. This is a real number, and mathematician beyond the real number also introduced a new thing, which is the imaginary, denoting with the iota. So 2 iota, minus 3 iota, iota by, so this all is the imaginary. So if we will combine real plus imaginary, we will get the complex number. Its name is complex number because it contains real word as well as the imaginary words. That's why it become complex number. Very complexity is not there, but as a name, it's complex number. So x plus iota y, it contains real part and imaginary world. So if we will move to the next page, you can see I have drawn in the axis, real axis, and this is imaginary axis. Real axis, imaginary axis, and it is a, it is b, I'm denoting here as a complex number. So as you always put a position with the p of the coordinates a coordinate and the b coordinate, it will give me line this one, right? And I have drawn in this way as a complex number. Z is a complex number having the real and the imaginary part. Real line is totally different as compared to the imaginary. So if I take the mirror word, here at the downward, so a will remain same. But v will change. In the mirror word, v will become negative v. In the downward, in the negative direction. So negative direction, I can have a mirror word, and the mirror image of this real line, it will be same, but the mirror image of this imaginary line will be changed. It will become in the negative side. So I will get minus b, and the complex number will be changed. Why? Because I'm getting the minus b here. So I will get a minus iota b. It will be the new points in the negative axis of the y. So p will become a as it is. As I have told you, a will remain same, but b will change. B will become minus b in the mirror word. So I will get these coordinates a minus b, and the complex number must be a minus iota b. So this is the conjugate of the complex number, given complex number. Given complex number is a plus iota b, and the mirror image will become the conjugate of the complex number, and I'm denoting with it as a bar. Bar means iota or imaginary part has changed into the negative. It will change its sign. If there is a negative, it will become positive. So in this way, I'm getting the conjugate from the given complex number. So this is the given complex number. It is giving me the conjugate. So mind it, we will use it in the exercise. So conjugate of the complex number is complex number z is equals to a plus iota b, will give me the complex number ab is real. Then this is the conjugate, is known as the conjugate of the z. So let's solve the first exercise of the complex number.